All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We have a fun guest today. We're really excited to co-host a webinar with Heather Larson from MindHarbor. In just a second, I'll have her kind of introduce herself, the MindHarbor organization, a little bit about themselves. So, again, today, the whole focus is around the P21 ERP platform and the Service Pro Field Service Management Technology platform and the integration that together MSI Data and MindHarbor has brought to the market. It's been a really powerful and collaborative relationship, and we're really grateful to the MindHarbor team. So with that said, Heather, I may pass this over to you. Why don't you just take a couple of minutes and do some intros?
Sure, of course. Thank you. I am with MindHarbor. I'm a director of operations here, and not for those who aren't familiar with us, we're a U.S.-based custom software development shop. We've been working over 25 years now with our custom experience and delivered tailored solutions, especially with the P21 community. Our platform and our expertise with the platform has been in operations since 2007. And we always pride ourselves in partnering real close with our customers to understand their business processes and streamline operations and enhance productivity and kind of getting to know what challenges they're up against and how they're going about their day to day. And we also always think of ourselves as collaborating on a collaborative approach so that we're really getting to know their workflows and how they're maximizing their ERP knowledge and understanding so we can help build that and enhance it and improve upon it, again, based on their specific needs and what they're needing to accomplish. Um, so with the MindHarbor team, we really try to keep things super simple. Our business model is very super simple. We're always doing things as a consultant first approach, which again is kind of what I was referring to, just to get to understand our customers and what they're needing and how they go about their day to day with their business processes. Our goal is always to make sure that we can capture that so that we can build upon it and really customize and tailor a solution that's going to maximize and benefit them in the best way. We also keep things super simple where we do things based off of development time estimates. So we're not trying to sell your product and there's no reoccurring costs or subscription fees or licensing fees. Everything we're doing is trying to develop a solution that's going to be based off of a specific process for you. And we do carry forward existing code and things that we've done in the past. So that's a cost benefit to our customer. We really do pride ourselves in being super responsive and being a reliable development partner and just trying to understand the uniqueness of the P21 customer and the distributors and manufacturing day-to-days. Our team specializes in understanding and improving all kinds of business processes, so including automating workflows and as well, of course, integration. That's why we're here today. So we focus a lot, our core services on, API development and system integrations. And of course, people are doing data migrations and again, automations to help automate reoccurring manual tasks to simplify it, automate it to kind of remove the end user from doing something that they don't like to do or might be problematic and often mistaked. So we get to incorporate some automated workflow into a process. And we also do real cool and creative things like building out solutions that are basically simple redirects right within the P21 platform where you can have an add-on P21 module or application that will do, repricing of orders or purchase orders or scheduling out mass updates to do supplier pricing and cost changes. We do all kinds of cool things with automating inventory transfers and inventory management and product management and so on. So we're we're a happy group because we get to be creative. Our days are not rote. We're always doing new things for new customers and getting super creative about what that looks like, especially from customer to customer that has different specific needs. And I can keep going. We have all kinds of cool things that are happening in our API development. Again, we're here today to talk about one of those wonderful ventures that we've had with MSI team in integrating the third-party solution with Service Pro. And we do that across the board with all kinds of other third-party solutions like PIMS and e-commerce, CRM systems, and so forth. So we're very fortunate to have the knowledge base and understand APIs and also develop custom APIs that allow us to really expand the P21 platform to branch out and do those data connections with those third-party solutions and really get the most out of their system and bridging those gaps.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's great. No, thank you, Heather. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and again, I just thank you for your time and thank you for, the partnership we've had over the last, well, it's been 2.5 or almost 3 years now. It's been really awesome. Question I'd like, just to have you kind of talk through is a little bit about that partnership, with the Service Pro organization, what are some of the, how did it start? What are some of the things that, you kind of worked on with us? Just anything, that you remember and would like to share about the partnership.
Yeah, of course. So, and you're right. I think we're going on year 3 or getting there.
Great.
So we've been real fortunate to have a whole bunch of success launches and live P21 Service Pro integration. So it's been a fun venture thus far, and we're enjoying every step of the way. What's very unique about P21, and anyone who's working in P21 understands that it's very specific to the end users. Each customer kind of goes about their day a little different. P21 does support development within the platform. And then, of course, as we were talking, all those extra things that we can do. So that gives a lot of uniqueness to each of the P21 customers. And because of that, we have to be very customer responsive and spending some extra time to understand what their business workflows look like with their service, order needs and their field service needs. So that allows us to work closely with the MSI data team and kind of fine-tuning things, especially on the P21 side of things, because that's where those customizations tend to live. And that gives us the opportunity to accommodate and to meet those customized needs, those workflows, understand the mapping and the connections and the integration data flows. And we're fortunate that we have a fully bi-directional integration in place that has been very successful with all those workflows and meeting those needs. So it's been fun kind of exploring and growing. And what's really cool about it too is that, we pride ourselves, MindHarbor, as a P21 expert because we've seen and touched so much of it. And then we get to work with the MS data team who knows Service Pro, of course, that's their platform. So you have both experts and then you have the customer who's, I feel, in really good hands because we're able to walk them through, accommodate their needs and answer those questions and be creative with some of those solutions so that we can hear what they want and try to deliver on that. And it's been a good success so far. So I say it with a smile. I don't know if you can hear my smile, but I'm smiling.
No, that's good. Yeah, I do know one of the things we hear overwhelmingly from customers that decide to move forward with, bringing the two products together with the integration is the flexibility, the responsiveness, and ability to, or I should say maybe willingness to be creative, because everybody, while they are using, Epicore's P21 product from an ERP or maybe, other modules they have within the Epicore P21 family, service is one where, they have a desire for something a little bit more. And so they're looking for a best of breed, solution out there. And, there's a lot of options within this space. As I know, there are a lot of field service management solutions out there, but I think one of the uniques in this space is the partnership between MindHarbor and MSI Data, and just the collaboration between even our technical teams. I think that's been really well received. I know everyone has a slight different configuration. They want different workflows here and there. And our willingness to say yes and, get our hands dirty and get creative has been really helpful to the customers that are just looking for something that, is fairly off the shelf, right? Not custom entirely, but they have their uniques and they want to make sure that it's going to fit into those uniques to some capacity. And it's been really good.
Yeah.
I think customers appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that is the difference. You can just buy a box and that's all you get. But in our day-to-day working with your team, again, we're understanding and recognize the P21 workflows inside of things. So we're able to bridge the gap to Service Pro. And if there's tweaks and customizations that are needed on the P21 side, or we have to introduce some logic as a middleware factor, we're able to introduce that into the equation, which it expands the functionality and some of those features. So even though maybe Service Pro doesn't need to make too many shifts or turns, we're still able to accommodate a lot of those touch points without, and bridge the two together. So it's been fun, and I think that is by far the best perk, one of the best perks about working together and for the P21 end user.
Yeah, I agree. It's been really helpful. It has been really helpful for us as well. So I have a couple questions for you. And I wanna ask a couple over to you, and then, if you have any questions you'd like to ask back over my way, I'm happy to address any of those too. So first, if you think about, the connector that we've jointly created, what are, some of the requirements that folks on the Epicor P21 technology platform should keep in mind, if they are looking to take advantage of the Service Pro MindHarbor connector?
Gotcha. So we do use the P21 business rules. Again, that's usually done so we can do those customizations that I was talking about within the platform, the P21 platform, to accommodate certain, specific needs. It tends to be a need. The P21 APIs, that is kind of what we've established as our data connector. It's a pull and push, of course, but as we're passing things into P21, we are using the P21 Epicor APIs. It just leverages us because it fits with all the different, the P21 SaaS platform, as well as, privately hosted or on-premise. So it just kind of streamlines that integration process. But also those P21 APIs do give some perks and benefits to the end user or the customer, I should say, simply because that there's a package of 5 APIs. So there's a lot of functionality and things that they can do with that. We are certainly able to develop custom API just for this integration, though we have not yet, but that is always a consideration option. And then the other thing that we like to see is the P21 service module being in place. That is because P21 doesn't natively support those, the service field needs or the service orders. Again, we can certainly create a custom alternative. That is certainly something we can introduce into the integration itself. But I would say the P21 APIs is probably the most the most recommended requirement we would have. Otherwise, we would have to develop something custom.
Yep. Custom sometimes happens, but custom usually comes with a cost, right? And so,
Right, exactly.
yeah, so people really want to think through that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's helpful to understand those requirements and maybe ask those questions, a few times a week. Probably is just, well, what are the requirements? Or if we're in various parts of conversations, just making sure that, it doesn't get to be too costly for these folks trying to take advantage of it. Okay. One more question for you, Heather.
Sure.
What are some things for people to think about when integrating, their P21 environment to any third party, right? Any planning or preparation, best practices that you'd share with any of the folks looking to integrate, really any of their third party applications with their P21 environment?
Yep. So, of course, it always starts off with the requirements, right? The actual scoping piece. So, kind of having on paper a list of goals, right? Your business goals, what the project, priorities are, and if they should be built out in phases too. If you have your must-haves and then nice-to-haves, things of that nature are really important. Just having that starting point clearly defined. You know, Having those internal meetings to talk through and identify all those line items is really important. Um, and then, of course, you want to also make sure, because as you talk integration, you're talking about moving data between platforms or between systems. What's going to be that master system of record, your true source, making sure, we always tend to recommend it is your P21 ERP platform, because that is housing all your back end, processes. But that needs to, again, be decided and defined. And then also, so once you have the requirements and have that information, then the next phase is really looking at, okay, what P21 data are we looking to integrate? And this allows also looking at the integration methods and capabilities. At that point, we can just determine, or a development team can determine, okay, so what's our best approach? What's the best integration methods that are available to support that data? What does it look like? Is it hopefully one API versus maybe more than one, or other different types of methods? It all depends on what that data looks like. And then, of course, that also marries up to your third-party integration solutions. So what support integration methods do they have? Do they have a REST API? Do they require you to do, just flat files with an SFTP or something to that degree? So this was all kind of hashing out now a development plan. An integration development plan can be drafted based off of these line items that we have, and then the looking at the documentation for the integration methods. And then you go to the next level, which is mapping, and having again, defining the mapping. I always find that is such a game changer if you can do it early on. It will answer all your questions. So once the developers are hitting the ground with development for integration, they're moving a lot more quickly through it, making better progress. And that would include all kinds of business logic too that needs to be identified, and conditions and things that you're going to have special codes and logic for. And I think the biggest thing I always tell my customers, or our customers, is that always plan for testing, and more testing. The more you have, thoroughly test and run through, all kinds of scenarios, the better and the better outcome you're going to have for that go live launch. And it also allows, all the error handling and planning and, just kind of mitigating a lot of the problems that might show up after launch. So the more time you can spend in flushing out and testing, always the better off you're going to be. So it means planning ahead. And, that definitely falls into the MSI with our error handling. It's another perk. Like, I don't think a lot of integrations think about that, but working with APIs, if there is something that's just a one-off, we don't want the end user to be stuck and stopped. So there's literally alert messages that pop up in Service Pro that they were customized to develop to allow the end user to recognize what they need to do and take action on so they can resolve it and keep moving forward. So those are the cool things that happen in a testing instance, which I totally recommend spending the most time there.
That makes sense. I do know from sales experience, people try to move really fast through discovery and requirements gathering, and they I don't know if they just assume we understand everything or are really good at guessing, but I do know that's where sometimes you have to help them slow down, because it will really impact the rest of the project. So I agree that those are really good things. I think that's helpful for people when they're looking at planning to do something like this. Awesome. Well, I've asked you a couple questions. I will open it up. Is there anything, you want to ask us, or you want, me to share with the audience around the Service Pro side of this partnership?
Yeah, actually, so what are the major areas that Service Pro can help a provider in on the P21 system? So if they're in that platform.
Perfect. Yeah. So MSI data, right? The Service Pro platform is an agnostic field service, module. So it is open to integrating with really any I say a modern system, but when it comes to P21, right, there's a couple of things to be thinking through that a lot of folks have kind of brought forward as just an area that they wish, they had a little bit more support in. So the first is just a more robust, easy to use scheduling solution, right? So when you think of the Service Pro scheduling capabilities, it's a simple, drag and drop dynamic scheduling board that you really have the ability to configure as you see fit as the user. And so just the ability to have that scheduling board integrated, your back office to your field, right, on a mobile side, it makes it really, really helpful for your technicians to be able to know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. So scheduling and that dispatching experience, right, all integrated into one platform has been really a game changer for, folks on the P21 side. The other area that comes up a lot is the Service Pro mobile application. And I think the reason it comes up a lot is there's a lot of technology companies out there that have a mobile experience. I say the word experience because it's not always an application. It's sometimes a website. Sometimes it's just a browser-based, website or URL that they can come to. But the Service Pro mobile experience, right, the application is one that's available on all the major operating systems. So it's able to be downloaded on Android, Windows, iOS, and it works both online and offline to keep your technicians kind of connected. So when you think about a technician, they could be in an area that has no service. They could be in a part of a building that just has poor service, right, based on where that room may be in the building. And being able to maintain access to that work order while you're taking notes, you're taking pictures, you're filling out digital forms, right? It's a frustration point when it doesn't go well for a technician. So that is one area that it's been really helpful for customers that are on P21 looking for that true mobile experience. The comprehensive capabilities within the Service Pro mobile app has been, touted by many that have taken advantage of it. And I could go on for, much more talking about the mobile app, but, when you think about just being able to create your own digital forms, capture your time and labor, your notes, pictures, a customer signature, maybe it's, you want to spin up a new work order right within the mobile while you're on site, or you want to see service history. Just the breadth of the technology capabilities within it has been something that a lot of folks have really, really enjoyed about our platform integrated, with P21.
Awesome. And then, so kind of what you kind of asked me is, as far as, well, a little different, when people are looking to improve on their service operations, so what do you tell them is the best practices? What do you share?
That's a great question. So it definitely depends, right? Which is the answer nobody wants to hear, but it definitely depends when you're thinking about making an investment within your service operations side of the house, because I think right now what I run into a lot is there's competing prioritization within an organization. And sometimes you might have 4 or 5 stakeholders that, I would say should be a part of the decision when looking at a field service management platform. But sometimes they aren't always on the same page. So what I would always encourage people, and what we do encourage people, is to get that list of needs written out, get that list of wants written out, and then make sure the group has some level of congruence before you start, talking to vendors, because If you don't have that before you get started, things change as you go. And then you start arguing about what's a need versus a want. So it's really sitting down internally before you start your search and figuring out, what are the hard and fast requirements of making an investment in a technology and what's maybe a nice to have, or what I would call more of that want. So when folks are looking to improve service operations, it's really sitting down and listing out all the priorities, making sure you have the right people involved. And when it comes to this, it usually spans from IT, finance, service and operations. And sometimes, you get a field tech that should be brought in, or you get an executive that should be brought in. So what we normally say is, 4 to 5 people should be involved in the conversation when looking at making some sort of investment or decision. So just a couple, right? We could sit here for hours talking about best practices, but those are just, 2 high level ones that I'd share that I think are really, really helpful, that make it much easier as you move forward with your decision.
Thanks.
All right. So what do you think? Should we close out? Do you think we gave people enough?
I'm hoping so, but if not, we're always here to answer any more questions.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So if somebody wants to learn more about MindHarbor or get a hold of you and your team, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Definitely via email, but you can always give me a call too. But my email is hlarson, and that's HLARSON at mindharbor.com. And I can always, and also we have our website. So there's a contact link right there. If you hit that, someone's going to be responsive, usually me. So there's many ways to get to us. But I'm always happy to help on a personal level if someone wants to reach out to me directly.
Awesome. No, you guys are super responsive and very helpful. And I think, from the service pro side, website is obviously the best, msidata.com, or of course, email sales at MSI Data is really, responded to very quickly. So either will get you in front of the right people and map to the person that can help you with whatever the need is. So yeah, I think that about covers what I think is worth sharing. So Heather, if there's anything else you'd like to say, let's do that now. Otherwise, I think we can close out.
I think we covered it, but thank you.
Awesome. Well, Heather, I appreciate it again. Thank you very much.